In today's video, we're going to go over how you can get that dream motorcycle that you really want. Maybe it's something that's off the table as far as being able to afford it right now. What can you do to work towards something like that? How can you make smart financial decisions and still work towards getting that dream motorcycle of yours? And we're going to get started with it right now. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you've enjoyed the videos we put out in the past. If you're new, what we do here is go over videos about motorcycles in general. We do reviews, we do all sorts of things, anything related to motorcycles. If you enjoy that kind of content, particularly for Harley Davidsons, but I'm definitely not limited to wanting to talk about Harleys. It just so happens to be the motorcycles that I own. If you like that kind of content, please feel free to subscribe. Hit that like button if you enjoy this. It really helps the channel out. If you don't enjoy it, no pressure. I'm just glad you're here. I'm glad you're checking this content out. So today we wanted to talk a little bit about how to get that dream motorcycle of yours. I don't know what your dream motorcycle is or will be, but I have to say that the Harley Davidson Fat Bob that I am riding right here is definitely my dream motorcycle. It wasn't in the past. It's something that I found out about later. I was not a big, huge Harley fan before I got the Iron 883. But as I started looking into the Harley lineup and I started really studying the motorcycles, this is the one that I definitely fell in love with. But maybe that's for you. I'm going to use that as a for instance, just because it is a more expensive motorcycle, and maybe you don't have a motorcycle yet and you're wanting to find out how you can financially make it work out. And I'm going to give some advice, some advice from a friend on YouTube. This is not financial advice from a professional. I'm not a CPA. I do not have any qualification to really truly give you financial advice. This is just take the information as you will, the ideas that seem to work for you. So let's get into it. So first off, I will have to say that if you're looking for a motorcycle, I would definitely steer towards the used market. The new market isn't bad by any means. It's like a car, though. It's definitely like a car in the fact that you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck when you go used. And a lot of times, if you make sure you do your proper research on the motorcycle and what to look for, what problems to watch out for that could mean that someone's mismanaged their motorcycle, you can find some ones that are in pretty mint condition that you can get at a major discount just because it was off of the showroom floor. A lot of people, they buy motorcycles and they realize they don't have the time for it, they don't have the energy for it, whatever the case may be, and they realize maybe they went in on a loan on it, and they realize that they don't have the ability to really maintain that motorcycle like they wanted to. Maybe they get injured, things happen. So they end up having to sell the motorcycle for a loss. I know that when I was looking for this Fat Bob, I found somebody who had, let's take a turn down here, somebody who had a 2018 Fat Bob, I believe it was. I almost went to go buy it, honestly. It was a really good price. I want to say they were selling it for $12,000, but it was a little far away from where I wanted to go, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to drive all the way out there in case it was a dud. And so anyway, long story short, he had injured himself. It was no longer wanting that Fat Bob, and something that normally goes for around $18,000, $19,000, he was selling for $12,000. And I believe it was very little miles. It was, maybe a couple thousand, somewhere around there. That's about what I got on this bike is 2,500 miles is what I bought it at. So you can definitely find huge discounts, and I guarantee you, as long as that person didn't go out and trash that bike, and there's some pretty simple ways of seeing whether or not that happened, you can be pretty well off with getting a good deal on used. So I highly recommend, first tip is to search the used market. Second tip, you may not like this one, but trust me, you will like it if you do it, but it may not sound good to you, is don't get your dream bike at first. And I'm going to tell you a few reasons why. For instance, let's say your dream bike is the Fat Bob, okay? You can find a few other motorcycles out there and on the used market for a lot less money that give you a very similar experience. It won't be as good. But let's say, for instance, I thought my end game motorcycle, if you will, my dream motorcycle was going to be the Iron 883, and it still is one of my favorite motorcycles, and it's definitely one that I want to recommend as a first motorcycle, at least based on the cost. It could be your last motorcycle too. It's one of those, it's that good that it could be your one and only motorcycle that you ever own, and you will be happy, trust me. But if you get a used Iron 883, they're just in that sweet spot. You know, it looks great, it's got just enough power, it sounds great, it feels great, you feel like you got a really good motorcycle. And you can buy those anywhere around $5,000 or $6,000 used, you know, give or take, depending on your area, depending on the mileage, depending on the year model, all that jazz. But you can easily find, I bought mine, I believe it was $5,900. And here's the next part of the financial advice as to why this is a good idea. Not only is it just cheaper, I'm not just trying to, you know, this would not be useful information if I just said, just buy a cheaper motorcycle. That's how you can, no. The good part about this, doing it this way, with the Iron 883 in particular, is the resale. Okay, so I bought mine for $5,900. I've now owned it for 2.5 years. It was a 2013 model. Bought it in 2017, I believe. And yeah, it's almost 3 years now. Holy cow, I can't believe I've had it for that long. I've gotten good usage out of it. I love the motorcycle. I'm going to resell it, and I bet you I will be able to get a very similar price. I'm not going too much lower than what I bought it for, because there's plenty of other motorcycles out there that are similar age, similar miles, and they're going for easily $6,000. So what I'm trying to say is, you buy the motorcycle that you like, but is maybe not your dream motorcycle. So let's say it's the Iron 883. There's a few others, a couple others that I might mention here in a second. But then you enjoy it, you learn how to ride, maybe you drop it a couple times. Go ahead. People are still trying to figure out four-way stops, I think, sometimes. So you ride it around, maybe drop it a couple times. You're not freaking out because this is your dream baby that you've been wanting, and it costs you, you know, $20,000 or something like that. Maybe you weren't quite ready to spend that kind of money either, and then now you've damaged it and you feel terrible. That's what you want to avoid, okay? So the way you do that is you buy a cheaper motorcycle like Iron 883. You got the great resale value on it. So when you do go back to resell it, then you can step up. So you're saving your money while you're riding. You're not having to wait years to ride a motorcycle. You get to get pretty much straight into it. Now, if you want a different motorcycle as an option, maybe you don't like Harleys, maybe $5,000 or $6,000 is too much, there is another one that I would like to recommend, and that is the Honda Shadow. It has a similar situation as the Iron 883. First of all, it looks good. I personally think I like the look of the Iron 883 a little bit better, but I still think it's a great looking bike, and of course that's subject to opinion. Everybody's going to have a different one, but it's relatively a really good bike. It's a solid bike, and you can buy those used for around $3,000. Now it's not super easy to find them at that price. You'd have to do a little hunting. There are a lot at the $5,000 and $6,000 price, but you can find those for around $3,000 in working condition. So the Honda Shadow has similar power and all of that jazz. I believe it has a little bit less power, but it's still a good bike that you'll enjoy and that you won't feel like you compromise too much. Same with the Iron 883. I would not recommend getting something like a Street 500, a Street 750. raise my visor here. Hopefully you guys can still hear me pretty well, but man, heats up at these stoplights sometimes. I would not recommend the Street 500 and Street 750, and the reason is not only are they kind of gutless bikes, they don't have that Harley feel, and I don't just mean Harley, I mean they don't have that feel of a motorcycle that gives it character, that gives it class and style. It's just not going to feel right. I've never heard anybody say they buy one of those and that was the bike for them. It was always, well, I bought it to learn on and now I can't wait to get a real motorcycle. That's the way it feels. It doesn't feel like a real motorcycle. No offense to ones who own one, share your opinion with me. I'd love to hear it, but I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that, even owners of those. It's just not really a good financial or a recreational decision, in my opinion. I just don't think they're great bikes, and I may be wrong, but they may actually be getting rid of those. I need to look. I'm not even sure if they still sell the Street 500, Street 750. So I definitely don't recommend those, but get you a good motorcycle that you can enjoy, and trust me, these motorcycles, even though maybe they aren't your dream bike, maybe your dream bike is a Hayabusa or some sort of Ducati, something like that. That's cool. But I'm not recommending street bikes as your initial entry if you're trying to save up for something like that. And one of the reasons is the resale value. You can get a Ninja 250, 500, I don't know, one of the lower CC Ninjas, or another sports bike. You can get them at a decent price. I want to say, I haven't researched those, but I want to say around $2,000 or $3,000 easily. You can find those. I'm pretty sure. The problem is those things don't even retain that value very much, and your insurance is going to be much higher on a sport bike. So that money that you're trying to save is not going to work out as well as if you get a cruiser. On my cruisers, now I'm 36 years old, so I'm going to have to turn here because this is never going to let me go. So on my cruisers, I pay about $35 a month per cruiser. It may be a little less than that, somewhere between 20 and 35. I can't remember exactly because it's bundled into a few different things. But it's relatively cheap. I've definitely heard, especially for younger guys, you're going to pay hundreds of dollars for your insurance on a sports bike, and that's just money you could be saving for the bike you truly want. So that's part of why I'm not recommending that. Now, if your bike that you really want to have is a Ninja 250, go for it, man. Have at it. Enjoy it. I'm not saying that they're bad bikes. I don't have a lot of experience with them myself. But just know that if you're trying to save money as far as insurance goes, it's not going to be a good option. So once you get that down, then you save your money while you're riding that bike. I recommend not going in on a loan. If you can do it, save up the money, because another thing to know about motorcycles is the interest rate on loans is a lot higher than what you would pay on, say, like a car. On a car, you could get, a new car in particular, they always have deals. You get 0% interest rate on a new car. Of course, you pay in different ways. But, man, they got this street all sorts of closed off. I did not even know about this. Let's see if we can go left. All right. So, yeah, on a car, you can get, 2 or 3% interest rate around there. You're going to be paying 6-7% interest rate pretty easily on a motorcycle because they're not considered a primary necessary vehicle. They know that you're going to pay your car loan well before you pay your motorcycle loan off. So they have a higher risk and thus charge a higher amount. So if you can avoid getting a loan on a motorcycle, you will save more money there. So starting out with a cheaper motorcycle that you're still going to enjoy, I tell you, if I couldn't get this Fat Bob, I would not be upset. I would be perfectly happy, honestly, with the Iron. There are some benefits with the Fat Bob that I really enjoy, and if that's your dream bike, I highly recommend starting off, if you're needing to save up for this. If you got the money, this is not the video for you. If you're needing to save up for it, get you one of those other motorcycles that I mentioned. Ride them, enjoy them, save your money. The money you're saving on insurance, if you're buying a Hayabusa, you're saving for Hayabusa or Ducati or something, you know, save that money that you would be spending on insurance. Learn to ride your motorcycle on something that you don't mind dropping, and then you can go out and in a couple years, 3 years, however long it takes you, whatever your situation is, you finish saving up for that other bike. You're going to be now a seasoned rider, seasoned enough to where you can feel comfortable spending your money on something like that. You'll also know how much you really want to be involved in this, you know, riding motorcycles. Maybe it turns out you really don't want to spend as much time as you thought you did, and you're not out all that money. But yeah, you got high resale value on the Iron 883, the Shadow, the Honda Shadow. Those are good bikes for that. Save up, pay cash. Do not do a loan if you can avoid it. And save up your own money and go out and buy your dream motorcycle in a couple years. So that's just some tips. Another thing, one last tip that I might mention actually, is modding your bike. Now, I'm not saying don't mod your bike, that it's a bad thing. I think it could be a really fun thing. In fact, I'd like to put a few mods on myself. And if you buy a Fat Bob, I highly recommend that you do, at the very least, the exhaust and the intake, because it sounds terrible. Maybe you've heard on my other video the reference to the sound sounding like a sewing machine. It does. It sounds like a sewing machine. But if you want to save money, the fewer the mods, the better. And I'm not just talking about the money you put into the mod itself. The problem is you're not going to get that money back. So let's say you spend $2,000. Let's say you buy a motorcycle, you buy it for $5 grand, you get a good deal on an Iron 83, you mod it out, $2 grand, you put into it, so you're $7 grand in on that bike. You might get $5,500 for reselling that bike immediately. No extra miles, nothing. You might be able to sell it for a little over $500 from those mods. So in other words, you'll get a quarter back for every dollar you spend on your mods. Now, I'm ballparking that huge, but the concept is true. You're not going to get back the money you put in on modifications, because some people don't like those modifications. A lot of people don't even know what those modifications are. They can't determine the real value of it, and so they won't pay for it, because they know they can just go out and buy one stock and then mod it the way they want it. So let's review the tips here. Don't buy your dream motorcycle immediately if you have to take out a loan. Instead, go buy a cheaper motorcycle, what you would have paid maybe a down payment on that motorcycle. Go ahead and do that on the Iron 883, save your money. Don't do the loan, so you save on interest rate. Go for a cruiser, so you save on the insurance. Don't mod, so you save on the resale. And then get you the bike you really want, then mod the crap out of that thing, you know? I mean, if you're not planning on selling it, who cares? So that's a few things that I would recommend if you are trying to save up for a motorcycle. But I would like to hear from you guys, maybe some tips that you've enjoyed in saving up for your motorcycle, how you got your dream motorcycle. What is your dream motorcycle? Maybe you're in the process of looking right now and you want tips on that. Leave me some comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you're enjoying this kind of information, you get value out of it. Hope to see you guys soon in the next video, and we will catch you in the next one.